Hey everyone, Sir Jellybean here. We are back with Core Arms Gates for Ostfront and a very interesting tutorial today. We're talking machine guns and armor-piercing ammunition specifically. So I didn't actually know this. A very intelligent individual from our Discord, I believe it's Montego Winnebago, I hope I say that right. He basically told us that you have certain armor-piercing ammunition for MGs. Now we all knew this, but what we didn't know is there's high levels of armor-piercing. Certain vehicles have it and certain units don't. So for instance, as you can see here, we have the standard MG34 MG42 with the SMK belt-fed rounds. We also have the standard belt-fed rounds for this MG34. Now, I've already put in the SMK H rounds. These actually come from the Panzer 1 Aust F. These are special armor-piercing rounds that are not available on any other German tank as far as we know. Now, you also get armor-piercing rounds on things like the 30 caliber from the US. You also get armor-piercing rounds on some of the Russian guns. So, for instance, the SMK DS39 stand has armor-piercing rounds, whereas the Maxim does not have armor-piercing rounds. So straight away, there's a big difference there. Now you might think, why do I need armor-piercing rounds for machine guns dealing with infantry? It's not about that. It's for dealing with things like this. When you've got in place guns and stuff with these shields, which are fairly bulletproof, they're normally like up to 8 millimeters of steel. The heavier armor-piercing rounds will penetrate these, and you can kill the infantry with enough rounds. And this makes a really big difference. So, for instance, let's say you have a Tiger, and it has the Tigers only have the standard belt-fed MG rounds. If you put these SMK H rounds in, all of a sudden the machine guns on your Tiger can now threaten these anti-tank guns, which normally you'd have to use the 88mm to deal with. It basically makes you more potent. So it's a very big win. Now you might think, well, does it actually work? Well, yeah, I'll just show you now. So let's get this infantryman. This is recruit. We're going to come over to this MG4. Oh, we'll go over to the MG34 if he fancies doing it for me. And we're over to the MG34, and we're going to take the standard belt-fed rounds. So we'll go out of them, we're going to dump them, horrible things, never wanted them anyway, useless. And then we're going to come over to our lovely Panzer 1 Aust F here, and as you can see, we have, bomb, we can steal a couple of rounds, well, pretty much all these rounds, let's not steal them all, that's a bit harsh. Well, come on, chuck some back in there just in case, because we may need to use them later. And we'll come all the way back over to the MG34, and we will plop in your lovely MG round there. There you go. Fantastic. Now, this may not seem like a big difference, but let's go for... So, the standard MG42 only armed with the belt-fed rounds. Now, if you look at this position, it says it can penetrate the gun shield, but you'll find that it struggles massively, even at this range, quite close. If you're trying to actually penetrate the gun shield, it won't... You might get the odd round going through, but as you can see, not many rounds will actually go through. There's no... The odd round gets through the little holes, and the odd round might penetrate. Whereas using the SMK heavy rounds, it increases the penetration. I believe he has said that it goes from anything from 1 to 18 to 2 to 25. But as you can see here, look at the penetration. There's more penetration through that gun shield. You can actually see it. More rounds dinging through the solid parts of the gun shield. There's more green than there is red. So it does increase the penetration. And it makes a big difference when you come up against light vehicles early war as well. So it actually gives something like the Panzer 1 Aust H a big advantage. There's also interesting things. So, for instance, the DS39, I actually prefer the Maxim because it's lower down. I think the gun shield's better. You can switch the rounds out of this and put them in the Maxim. So you can make your MGs more potent. You can also do this for light vehicles. So, for instance, if you have something like a KFZ or anything like that, you can take the machine gun rounds from the lighter vehicle and place them in. So it's just going to give you more firepower, more bang for your buck. Now, the other thing is, if you have a supply truck nearby, when you strip the MG rounds out of the Panzer 1H, a supply truck or a supply crate is going to be able to put the rounds back in, so you're not really losing anything. And I've been informed as well by him, MGs that use things like the drum or the DTs that use the non-belt fed, you can still put the belt fed in and they will use them. So it doesn't even matter if it's, for instance, if it's a Russian tank. Let me just make one appear for us. Oh, why is it being a pain in the ass? So let's go USSR and let's just get, not a BTR, let's get a light tank like a T70 in. There we go. And we'll drop this guy. And what we'll do is if you just, we'll come and have a look at the T70s, as you can see. And it uses T70s with the drum rounds. Okay, that's interesting. So we're going to come over to our 39 stand here, as you can see. And we're going to take the armor-piercing rounds. I'm going to come over to the T70. What we're going to do, we're going to dump those DT rounds and we're going to put the belt-fed rounds in. Now you might think, well, wait a minute, that's not going to work. How's that going to work? And as you will see, it does work. You now have armor-piercing rounds. And because this is edited, it will say something out of 0, but it does actually work. It works with the MG rounds. You don't need to have the rounds in. You can put them in. This has been tried in Conquest as well, unless someone can prove me wrong. So you can switch those armor-piercing rounds with the guns that you might think would not be able to have them. Obviously, it's edited so everything basically has unlimited ammo. But it just gives that a little bit of bang for your buck. And early war, this is massive. Because if early war, if you've got something like a DS-39 stand and you're able to put it into something like a T-35, obviously we'll spawn a T-35 if you don't know what one of them is, because some people will be a bit newer to the game. As you can see here. Well, the T-35, as you can see... Oh, God, why is it been a pain in the arse? My apologies. This has a lot of machine guns on. This thing has... I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's a 6th one as well. 5 or 6 MGs. If you put armor-piercing rounds on all sides, that thing becomes far more potent. So you can really... It just gives you that little bit more power, and it only takes, you know, a couple of minutes in Conquest, maybe less. Just spawn a DS-39, standard supply crate, chuck the rounds on, bing, bada, boom, and you've got a very potent anti-tank weapon system, or anti-infantry and anti-gun shield. It's just a very cool thing. I'd never realised it, so all credit to Montego Winnebago. He doesn't have a channel, but if he ever does, you know, give him a shout out again. And yeah, it's just a really cool little thing, and it's just a bit of a niche thing that's really going to increase the firepower, and especially if you're doing an infantry-only run with emplacements. You could even give these rounds to, I believe you can give them to MG soldiers, and they can use them as well. It doesn't matter if they use drums. So it just gives a little bit more firepower, a little bit more bang for your buck, and yeah, fantastic tip. So well done, Tim. And I just thought I'd bring a video on it because I was very impressed by it. It really kind of surprised me. It's something that after 1,000 hours I haven't realised. It's probably something that even the developers, even though they know about it, it's probably something you just don't think about, and it's not something you really mention. So it's really cool. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.